Hi, y'all. Today we're going to be talking about confirmation bias. And I don't know if you're familiar with that idea. I first heard about it when I was studying psychology in high school. And I think it came up once or twice in some university studies in psychology. But these days, the concept of confirmation bias has been made kind of popular by Scott Adams. Does everybody know who Scott Adams is? He's a pretty famous cartoonist. Scott Adams on YouTube. Really fascinating guy. He's a very brilliant man who quit his job in California with Ma Bell, one of the Ma Bell Pacific Bell companies that was basically had really thick management that was slow to react and slow to recognize good ideas. And even though he was pretty much a superstar employee there, they didn't really appreciate his ideas. So he quit his excellent job at Pacific Bell and became a cartoonist. And he has a very famous cartoon strip called Dilbert. Now, because Scott quit his great job to pursue his dream of being a cartoonist, and he succeeded at it, it kind of went to his head a little bit. And he sort of believes that he's pretty much the smartest guy in the world. And he is extremely intelligent, but I think he got a very narcissistic edge of basically a superiority complex. But in his case, it's not as offensive as usual because he is a brilliant man. But he gets really frustrated. For example, on Twitter, he has a very popular Twitter account called Scott Adams Says on Twitter. And people call him out on his attitude of superiority all the time. And I've called him out on it a little bit also myself. I'm on Twitter. If you want to follow me, I'm at, what is it again? It's Narada Good News, Narada underscore Good News with a Z instead of S. And you can find me on Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter. Anyway, Scott Adams has made the idea of confirmation bias a lot more popular because he brings it up on Twitter. It's kind of the main thing he thinks about when he disagrees with somebody. He assumes that other people have a lot of confirmation bias and that he doesn't have any. And basically what confirmation bias really means is that people see what they already expect to see, and they're unable to see things that they either don't believe or have never thought of, might be blind spots in their thinking or their feeling. And so confirmation bias can be a kind of a big problem. In this video, I want to relate my discussion of confirmation bias to two people, Scott Adams, who I know mainly on Twitter, and I told you a little bit of his amazing history founding the cartoon Dilbert. And also another friend of mine, I don't mean a personal friend, I mean somebody I admire online, which is Tracy Spencer of Real Estate Mindset. And I featured him on my channel before. He has really interesting videos on the real estate market. And the real estate market in the United States can have a really big impact on the United States as a whole and also other countries because as we know, for better or worse, for good or bad, what goes on in the U.S. has a huge impact on the rest of the world. Not sure if that's good or bad. I think sometimes it is good and sometimes it's terrible. But I have many viewers from Germany, for example, and I'm sure they want to know what's going to happen in their economy for this winter, for example. Everybody's worried about the new Green Deal and this so-called war in the Ukraine, so-called with great big. If you wonder why I say that, you can research it a little bit. I have a new channel on YouTube, and I want to avoid super controversial topics like the war in Ukraine. But anyway, back to confirmation bias and real estate mindset. Travis Spencer has another amazing video on the real estate market where he's talking about what can happen if owners get underwater in their mortgage and they end up having to sell their property under duress. Travis knows by experience that that can be really, really horrible because of what happened to him during the market collapse in 2008. And so I think his view is getting really colored by his confirmation bias. So now that I've explained what the term means, hopefully you'll see what I mean about Travis. I think Travis does a wonderful job of making very professional videos. He's, if I remember correctly, he's a real estate agent and he's a loan officer and he's super experienced and he wants to make it clear that he's not being a financial advisor in the capacity with his personal videos on YouTube. Well, same with me. I'm not being a financial advisor. But I want to know what you think about Travis. Travis, in case if you're interested in the real estate market, either because of you're interested in the U.S. housing market in general, either because you live here, or you want to invest, or you want to buy a house, or it could be because you're interested in the world economy and how the U.S. economy is going to affect the world. Just as an example, not a prediction, but just as an example, if the U.S. does have a huge housing bubble, which it might, because a lot of people are saying that it does. Travis is one of the leading thinkers thinking that we have a bubble and it could pop any moment. Well, if that does pop, the U.S. housing market is, I think I read recently that it's the largest market in the whole world. So if that collapses, the implications on the world economy are really, really big. So anyway, for now, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about confirmation bias, and I wanted to relate it to Scott Adams' knowledge. Scott Adams also has some really interesting books. If you can pick up a copy in the library or maybe in your local bookstore or used bookstore, you might want to check out Scott's books because I think they are really good books. I said he's a little too narcissistic for my taste in his personality, but most wildly successful people do get a narcissistic edge sooner or later, don't they? And Travis Spencer, he's relatively unknown, but he's making amazing videos on YouTube. I really enjoy how at the beginning of each and every one of his videos, he says it's going to be completely bonkers, and it usually is. By completely bonkers, he means like it's really unexpected and wildly interesting. So I think he is all that. He's I expect Travis to become famous if we do get the big changes in the real estate market that he's predicting. So anyway, that's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next video.